his consistent berating and insulting and ad hominem attacks, particularly against women. Whether it's Kristen,
me a break.
What do you mean give me a break? Kristen Welker this week.
It's Kristen.
Caitlin Walker.
I'm
Caitlin
sorry.
Collins last
I've
week.
worked with Kristen when I worked at the White House.
Will you give me a break? Have you no shame as a woman that we hear him call them ugly and piggy and crooked and liars and stupid and bad journalists? Have you absolutely no solidarity with women? Oh my God, I can't believe you sit here and tell me to give you a break. But in this network, we hear him tell our journalist that she's not fit to be a journalist because she doesn't smile. How dare you tell me to give you a break?
61. That is how many post-election court cases Donald Trump and his allies filed after 2020. Judges appointed by Republicans, Democrats, and Trump himself reviewed the evidence. 61 cases lost, one minor procedural win that didn't change a single vote in any state. That is not a disputed fact. That is a federal court record. And CNN put a former Disney Channel actress, a former Trump White House press aide who has never practiced law, never analyzed election data, never produced a single piece of evidence of voter fraud in her entire career, on Abby Phillips' show to debate it as if it were an open question. While Charles Blow sat across from her with the actual court record, while Ana Navarro's patience ran out live on air, while Hal Lambert shouted that the louder people deny the fraud, the more certainty is it exists, which is not how evidence works, has never been how evidence works, and CNN let it sit on the table, unchallenged, long enough for the segment to end. I'm Andre Mitchell. This is The Real Andre Mitchell. 61 losses is not a both sides story, and I want to talk about exactly why CNN keeps treating it like one. Let's get into it.
President Trump's monumental meltdown. Tonight, the walls appear to be closing in on the president. His war in Iran is as unpopular as ever as it stretches into its 100th day. Americans are worried about their finances more than ever before, and he's suffered a series of legal losses that are throwing his priorities for a loop. And his own party is now fiercely pushing back on some of his agenda. It all comes to a head during this interview with NBC's Kristen Welker on Meet the Press this weekend. Welker pressed Trump on a number of conspiracy theories, first about January 6th rioters, then the lie that California's election is rigged. But instead of responding with evidence or proof of any kind, Trump resorted to insults and smears before he stormed off altogether.
You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But, Mr. President,
you know why I got that? Because you have no credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd.
You have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
your
about
elections in this country. We're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But, Mr. President,
you're one-sided crooked network. So let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
One of the most revealing things about that exchange is that she kept asking for proof. There was no proof being put on the table. And when the president attacks the media, calling them biased, it's usually because they're correcting him on some very obvious falsehoods, like the one that he tried to repeat in that interview, Charles.
Like, the president wants to say this. You have to let me lie without interrupting me. You have to let me lie and not push back on it. And if you don't give me that kind of coverage, then I do not like the media. And the other thing that the president does is that he substitutes himself for the country all the time. I think people really have to really be careful when they listen to him, because as an authoritarian thing, when he says that they are the enemy of the country, he really means that they are the enemy of me because they won't let me lie. When he says that people are attacking the country, he really means that they are attacking him. The substitution is a very real thing that happens with Donald Trump in the way that he communicates. And I think everybody needs to pay attention to that.
Why can't Trump take corrections, tough questions? Why can't he put proof on the table of his assertions?
Well, I think you watch the president more than anybody, and I hope everybody at this table would be honest about the fact that the president of the United States takes more tough questions on a daily basis than just about any other president in the modern era. Certainly the last one that we had. Oh, no, I think he should do this two to three times a week. This was a great interview.
Storm out of interviews?
Oh, no, absolutely, because the president's base and most of the country still views the mainstream media as very biased against them. They feel very demonized by the media. They feel very misunderstood. They don't feel like the mainstream media has done enough to try to understand.
Why won't he present actual proof of the thing that he's claiming?
Can I talk about that? Because that's always the comeback. Where's the evidence?
Yeah, because
the evidence is this.
If you're going to claim fraud, there should be some evidence.
Okay. The evidence is this. You have a California system that enables fraud to happen easily. You don't have voter ID. You have mass mail-out ballots. You have voter cards.
That's not evidence. That's
time out.
That's just a description
can I just
of an
finish?
electoral system.
It's an electoral system that's ripe for fraud.
Ripe for fraud is not fraud.
And then you
that
have
is not fraud.
No, but then you have statistical anomalies where you have Rahman, who was third place, was getting 20% of the vote, and then the vote after the election day, she gets 40% of the vote.
So
that's a total
speculation is also not true. It is so infuriating to watch people try to make speculation into proof.
It's not speculation, that's data.
That is not data.
We're going to spend a whole segment on the California race in just a moment. So we're going to talk through some of the stuff that you're talking about there. But I actually think that we can boil it down much more simply than this. Trump falsely believes that he won the 2020 election, that he lost. When he is challenged on that, he gets upset and he storms out of an interview. Explain that one.
They were talking about the mayoral race in California, and he was talking about the fraud there, the rigged election there.
Okay.
That's what they were
It's rigged? You believe it's rigged?
I do believe it's rigged.
Oh, my God. We can wrap this show up.
100% rigged.
We can wrap this show up.
He also was talking about his favorite obsession, which is 2020.
What's that?
In that exchange, he also was talking about the election that he lost in 2020.
Well, he talked about the 95%. He also got mad because he has 95%.
What's the explanation for that?
95% negative press coverage. He's sitting there in a negative press interview.
What does press conference have to do with the fact that she asked for proof of fraud?
Here's the thing about the president. When he was candidate Trump and they had the primary and he lost to Ted Cruz, the first thing he said was it was rigged. And he insisted that the state officials change the actual results of that primary. You remember that. And Ted Cruz was very upset by that because he called Ted Cruz a liar. That was 10 years ago. So to characterize his conversation without an understanding of who he has been, I think is unfair to the conversation we're supposed to be having now. He's always done this.
Caroline also suggested that Trump loves taking tough questions, but here is his very real history of not taking tough questions that he doesn't like. Listen.
Your first statement was, are you ready for tough questions?
Are you?
That's no way to talk. It's no way to talk. I think we have enough of an interview here, Hope. Okay, that's enough. Let's go. Let's go.
The only way it's not going to happen again is you have to solve the problem of the presidential rigged election of 2020.
Mr. President, if I'm... Wait, one more question.
The woman that you said was a great doctor in that video that you retweeted last night said that masks don't work and there is a cure for COVID-19, both of which health experts say is not true. She's also made videos saying that doctors make medicine using DNA from aliens and that they're trying to create a vaccine to make you immune from becoming religious.
Well, maybe it's the same, maybe it's not.
Last week, well, real quick.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
That I think need to be addressed in the clip that we saw from the Meet the Press interview. The first is him alleging that he didn't lose the 2020 election. Trump and his team filed over 60 challenges in court and lost every single one of them. So there is no evidence that held up in court. That's number one issue. The second issue, which to me is just as horrible and needs to be discussed, is his consistent berating and insulting and ad hominem attacks, particularly against women. Whether it's Kristen,
me a break.
What do you mean give me a break? Kristen Welker this week.
It's Kristen.
Caitlin Collins last week.
I worked with Kristen when I worked at the White House.
Will you give me a break?
Have
you no shame as a woman that we hear him call them ugly and piggy and crooked and liars and stupid and bad journalists? Have you absolutely no solidarity with women? Oh my God, I can't believe you sit here and tell me to give you a break. But in this network, we hear him tell our journalist that she's not fit to be a journalist because she doesn't smile. How dare you tell me to give you a break? Have some shame.
Why would the president tell a woman that she doesn't smile enough when she's working, asking him a question?
Because he's an equal opportunity offender. And let's not pretend. Let me explain how the game...
Give me another example of him telling
Let me explain how the game works.
Give me an example of him being equal opportunity.
Let me explain how the game works, because Caitlin got something out of that exchange, too.
Caroline.
The president gets a lot out of having combative exchanges with journalists. His base loves it. That's why I said he should do 2 to 3 more of these a week. His poll numbers go up. But Caitlin's getting something out of it, too. So many journalists have made their careers in this country off of being combative with President Trump, Caitlin Collins included, Jim Acosta, many former people. It is all part of the game. It is all part of the theater.
Jim Acosta ended up losing his position at CNN.
But the fact that you guys are going to call this a woman problem, Kristen did one of the toughest interviews I have seen someone do with the president up to date,
and he walked up and left because he couldn't take it.
He didn't push back.
She flew all the way to Wisconsin, left her and did her job. No, the guy needs to grow up. He's the president of the United States. He needs to grow up, and instead of walking out, having
How many interviews did Biden do? How many interviews did Biden do?
And how much did you criticize?
Did an interview.
Okay, Biden is back in the White House, we can discuss it.
The Biden is like a reflex.
Conversation.
It's the truth.
Then just
So the 2020 election.
Biden, blah, 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 Biden, blah, 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 blah,
One at a
blah,
time,
Biden.
please. LZ, you were making a point.
I get it. You want the president to look good.
I get it. You want to talk about 2020. I mean, I'm bringing up
he does.
I actually brought up 2015 when he started beginning the lies about talking about how elections have been stolen. I was just letting you know there's a pattern here that's been 2 years long. That's why I brought that up. Is that what do you want this nation to gravitate towards? The behavior that we've seen in which you berate women, or behavior in which you learn how to negotiate with someone that you don't agree with, but you don't need to yell or get up and leave out of an interview?
It's the one way that you will berate women because apparently it's good for your image.
I hear you pushing back on LZ and Anna and suggesting that maybe this is somehow about Joe Biden, which it's not. Are you comfortable with Trump being challenged on something and rather than defending his point, just simply storming off of an interview?
He did defend his point. She kept on and on with the same question.
How did he defend it?
What did he defend?
He said that he thought the election was rigged. He answered the question.
And she asked for proof, and he provided
But it goes back. He talks about what I just said. If you look at the whole election system
What you said
in
didn't make any
California,
sense.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't make any sense. And it's not a fact.
I just want to be clear.
It is a fact.
I just want to be clear. We are going to tackle what you were saying about California because there is no proof of what you're saying about California. But in this particular segment, I want to deal with the long-running Trump obsession, which he also brought up in that interview, with his loss in 2020, which he has now tasked the government with trying to validate, even though there's no proof of it. Why is it that when he is challenged on that, he can't answer for it?
Look, we know there were, after the fact, we know there were problems in Arizona. We know there were problems in Georgia. We know after investigation. You can't prove that in 45 days.
What were they, Hal? It's been 6 years.
What were they?
What were the problems?
There were problems with the voters in Georgia. They found there were voters that were
there was no problem.
How many fraudulent votes were cast in Georgia? Because I live in Georgia. I want to hear you loud.
That's
a lot. Okay, first of all, we can't have this conversation. We can't have this conversation. This man just said that there were thousands of
the more you guys yell there's no fraud, the more likely there was fraud.
So I need you to hear what just happened underneath all that shouting. Hal Lambert didn't just make a bad argument. He revealed the entire architecture of why these CNN panels never go anywhere. He told you out loud on camera that evidence against his position makes him more certain his position is correct. 61 court losses, 0 votes, changed, judges he would normally trust. All of it in his framework confirms a conspiracy rather than refutes it. You cannot debate someone operating inside that logic, not because they're stupid, but because the system is sealed. Every fact that contradicts becomes proof of the cover-up. Every court that rules against becomes proof of corruption. Every journalist who pushes back becomes proof of bias. Charles Blow has been sitting at this table with the actual receipts for the entire segment, and CNN put Lambert directly across from him, and that is not an accident, and that is a booking decision, and it has consequences for every person watching at home who isn't sure what to believe.
No, the more that you lie, the more we're going to push back on the fact that you are lying. The Heritage Foundation keeps the largest database on voter fraud.
This is so ridiculous. I want to walk off this.
I got to finish this point. They keep 30 years. They've tracked 32 elections, 100 million votes. They have found 39 total cases of voter fraud. The Heritage Foundation is absurd. Where's your proof? I just cited my source. What is your source?
I got a question for you.
I just cited, because I want to know what your source is.
You said
what is your source? Mine is the Heritage Foundation.
Do you think there's no H-1B visa?
Where is your source?
Do you think there's no Medicare fraud?
You don't have no source.
Guys.
You're not saying a source.
There's fraud all over the federal government. There's fraud all over the states.
Where is your source?
And yet there's no voter fraud?
Are you kidding? The idea that you're sitting here trying to convince us based on no source whatsoever to trust your word and trust the president's word when we know he is lying. And I want to know if you think that was I don't know if we're sitting here with 2 elections tonight.
Just a second.
Do you think it's rigged as well?
Tell me there's no fraud in anything. Medicare, Medicaid, H-1B visas, nothing.
You have no source, and you're going to get louder and louder, and it's still not going to work.
California won't allow the federal government to
louder and louder, and it's still not going to work because you don't have a single source in your whole body.
Stop talking. Guys, stop talking. Because y'all are talking so loud. But to be honest, Hal, you're not saying anything.
Okay, I think I am. Let's see what the viewers think.
Caroline,
they won't let the
hold on a second. Caroline wants to have a quick word, and then we're going to go to.
By the way, I would just add, the president has agreed to do a second interview with Kristen Welker, which doesn't surprise me at all. So Kristen will have her own time to, I'm sure, ask him for further evidence. Like you've been upset about his way more than Biden never did.
We're going to leave that right there. Next for us.
Let me tell you what CNN is actually selling when it books Hal Lambert and Caroline Sunshine opposite Charles Blow. Not balance, not fairness, doubt. And doubt is a very specific product. It does not require evidence. It does not require winning arguments. It just requires someone confident enough to sit in that chair and perform certainty until the viewer at home, who was working 2 jobs, picking up kids, paying a grocery bill that is higher than it was 2 years ago, thinks maybe there's something there. Maybe it's more complicated than I thought. That is the entire strategy. And it works precisely because most people don't have time to read federal court filings. So let me read them for you. The Heritage Foundation, not the Brennan Center, not a Democratic think tank, the conservative organization most motivated to find voter fraud in America, has tracked over 100 million votes across 32 elections. They have documented 39 total cases of proven fraud, not 39,000, not 3,900, 39 out of 100 million votes cast. Fraud rate of 0.000039%. Hal Lambert cited the Heritage Foundation himself during that segment. He did not mention that number. CNN did not mention it either. Now, here's the thing about Caroline Sunshine that nobody named on that panel. She was born in 1995, former Disney Channel actress, former Trump White House press aide, no background in election law, no published research on voting systems, no data analysis experience, nothing in her professional biography that would qualify her to sit across from Charles Blow, New York Times columnist, Langston Hughes fellow at Harvard University, and tell him his understanding of court records is wrong. CNN booked her anyway, framed it as a debate, as if both sides have equal evidentiary standing. They don't, and that framing is a choice CNN makes every single week. Because here is what a genuine debate about election integrity would require. It would require someone who could explain why 61 federal judges appointed across both parties, including judges Trump himself appointed, found no credible evidence of widespread fraud. It would require someone who could reconcile the Heritage Foundation's own database with the claim that fraud is rampant. It would require someone who could answer Charles Blow's question with something other than volume. Caroline Sunshine cannot do any of that. Neither can Hal Lambert. But they generate the one thing CNN needs more than accuracy. Conflict that keeps you watching. The viewer who walks away from that panel uncertain, unsure whether elections are secure, unsure whether their vote matters, unsure whether the system can be trusted. That viewer did not arrive at uncertainty. Through evidence, they arrived there because a network that reaches millions of Americans every night decided that booking a former child actress opposite a Harvard fellow and calling it balance was good television. It is also a choice with consequences that extend well past the commercial break. I'm Andre Mitchell, at The Real Andre Mitchell. CNN puts it on air. I put it on the record. If this gave you something nobody else handed you today, you already know what to do. See you at the next one.